Welcome back. Have you been looking for a farm-based design that not only functions as a farm base, but is highly defendable? Look no further than this 3x3 farm base. It comes with multiple open core style retake peaks. These range from simple windows, ramp peaks that cover the entire 3x3 core, as well as grenade drop ladder hatches which can be activated from the respawn areas above. This is a great way to surprise raiders and clear the floor below. A total of 8 respawn areas are in the base. These are all connected to the 4 separated Widegap shooting floors. These are also covered by the 4 optional turret pods that are found below. Pair all of these features with a simple honeycomb roof and vending machine for your tea and cloth trading. This farm might be the one you need. The upkeep is very manageable and you can actually decrease the amount of metal in the base and just make it out of stone. This of course does decrease the raid cost of the base, but might be easier when you have a lot of spare stone later on into the wipe. Here is the upkeep of each external TC. These are simply to upkeep the Widegap shooting floors on each side. These can be replaced with meta TCs, along with adding a compound if you want to use this as your main base. We enter the base through the simple single door airlock. Of course this would actually act as the gatehouse into the compound if you were to add one. This is protected by a chain link, and above you'll find a turret. This turret covers both the outside. It is protected by double chain link and also covers the Widegap shooting floor above. These turrets are completely optional depending on what stage of wipe you're at, and if you're making this as a secondary base. On one of the 4 sides you'll find a double armored door, but on every single side there is a respawn area above each doorway. We now enter the central 3x3 core through the armored door. You'll find a total of 4 planter boxes, as well as 4 retake peaks on each side. One of the corners will host your TC area, and on each of the 4 sides we also have a ramp peak. The central square is a raised foundation. You can actually replace this with a lowered foundation and then add another extra 2 planter boxes if you'd like. Coming around to the TC, you can find the upkeep here. The metal upkeep can be reduced as previously mentioned. This base is protected by 2 layers of walls, meaning it's not just a simple 3x3 with 1 wall into your farm. On each of the 4 sides you'll find a respawn area inside the honeycomb. This comes with a simple peak down into the core below. This can be replaced with a horizontal embrasure if you prefer a Patrico peak. You will also find a medium battery on each side. This can be replaced with a small battery as it only powers 1 turret. This allows you to split the electricity of your turrets and your farm. You will find a simple single door peak as well as a double door that covers the Widegap. From this Widegap peak you can actually look back on the other sides of the base through this tiny area here. You'll find a simple single door peak on each side, and then you'll find a single door that enters into the central 3x3 above. This will give access to the ramp peaks below to clear, as well as 4 more respawn areas and lockers. You can quickly run between each of the peaks using these ramp peaks here. This is a great way to quickly clear every angle of your core below. Each part of the shooting floor is separated, preventing raiders from gaining full control. You'll also find a ladder hatch here, where we can fit 4 extra large boxes. If you want to remove the ladder hatch, you can actually fit another farm here. By right clicking some grenades onto the ladder hatch, you can open the ladder hatch quickly, which explodes down below the core. This will kill anyone inside the 3x3 below. Each of the double door entrances into each side of the shooting floor is airlocking the single door as well. On each of the 4 sides you'll find a garage door that leads onto the roof. Here you'll find some simple window peaks, as well as a one-way peak onto the roof. This is also covered by the external TC respawn areas. Coming onto the roof through the garage door and single door, it is a very simplistic roof and you can edit this to however you'd like. You'll find an access point for your vending machine. Of course you can add multiple if you'd like. That will allow you to trade all of your resources that you're farming. You will see that on each of the 3 sides that isn't your main entrance that leads to your double door, you'll find a full wall that protects the core. Each of these 4 sides, as previously mentioned, has a respawn area and mobility chute to the shooting floor. Starting off the build, you want to place a simple 1x1 to claim your build spot. This can be claimed early on into the wipe if you're using this as a secondary base. If you're using it as a main base, you'll of course follow the same steps. You can then on the outside add a shelf inside the TC room. We will then plan out our foundations like so. The middle one should be raised. This is what you should be left with. Now on every single side you want to put a wall apart from your double door entrance. In this case I'll be placing it here on the left. You want to make sure that the double door is either on the left or right, maximizing the distance to the TC room. This is what it should look like. Now you can go ahead and add the armored door if you have it. If you don't, just simply place a double door. You want to also upgrade these foundations and walls to metal eventually. You don't have to do this right now, or you can leave it as stone if you prefer. Then you want to place a wall on the right hand side of each of the corner squares. You want to make sure you add a shelf before adding the double door. Or I should say the double door frame. Repeat this on the other 3 sides that isn't your TC room. You will also want to eventually place this door with a garage door. You can then optionally add all the garage doors into your farming areas. These are completely optional, but I do recommend adding shelves inside these areas as well. This will increase the storage space, especially for deployables such as your mixing tables. Just above each of the walls and your double armored door, you want to add a window. This will be permanent, so feel free to upgrade this to metal. Then in the remaining corners, just add full walls. And once again you want to repeat the same thing. Add a full wall on the right hand side. It should look like this. However, before you add the double door here, you want to add double door frames in the central area and add garage doors. You want to then add half walls around this area, then add a ladder hatch frame. This is where our 4-box loot room will be, as well as our ladder hatch. Then you want to add full walls off this ladder hatch in the middle. It's best to also upgrade these to metal. This is where our bedrooms will be. Then you can add frames to the remaining spots. On each of the sides you want to add a ramp in this configuration. It should look like this. Now from below you can add a half-height shelf. This will be made out of twig. You do not want to upgrade this to stone. You can then upgrade the ramp above to metal and then demolish your build up. And of course repeat this on the other 3 sides. Then you can add frames as well, just to protect this area. This gives an option to add a double door that you can open and close from the ramp peak. For now you can add temporary glass just to seal in this area, and then you can begin farming. You also want to add a hatch here just to increase the raid cost into the bedrooms. By adding temporary double doors in front of the ramps, you can seal this area in, so you can continue farming without building up the 3rd level. If you want to set up farms early, this is a good option. Then you want to also add garage doors to these frames. The top should look like this. Now we will complete the 3rd floor, adding our bedroom areas and sealing in the top. You want to add a single door in each of the corners on the left hand side, then add walls to the rest. Now simply add a floor. Opposite the door should be walls and the rest can be frames. You can then add double doors that open outwards, airlocking the single doors, and add optional garage doors here. Upgrade all of the roof to metal. This is what it should look like, and you can begin farming at this stage. We will now place the large planters. On each of the square metal foundations below, you can simply add a large planter box. You can let these snap to the foundation. To help place this planter box above, you can put a temporary triangle floor next to the window, as you can see here. It is vital that you place these planter boxes that are inside the shelf areas so that they are not snapping into the square slots. They must be protruding outside the shelf slightly. This will allow them to get their water and light supply. You then want to repeat this on the lower levels that aren't your TC room. As you can see here, we want to bring it outside the square slot as much as possible. You then want to repeat this on every side. Of course, apart from the TC room, it shouldn't fit. We will then add boxes into this area and upgrade the walls and floor to metal. You can then add optional mixing tables or whatever deployables you'd like. I would recommend leaving one spot for the large battery. You could put a range of deployables such as a purifier or a pump here as well. Now with symmetry on each of the sides you want to add this entrance. You want to simply honeycomb the base with triangles like so. Honeycomb the corners like this. And then on the left hand side add a doorway. And the right a jump up. However, it is key on the second floor that you only honeycomb the left hand side. This right hand side will be used as a jump up onto our shooting floor. You can upgrade the outside walls to metal. Make sure to add a frame for access. Then simply add walls to this side. At this stage you can remove the glass and add your beds. We will be adding deployables later in the build video. Add a single door on each side and these will be used for our vertical peak downs. You can go ahead and add a floor above. Then add 2 double doors that open outwards in each of these frames. Now we will do a Widegap external TCs. You want to build out by 2 triangles, 2 squares, cap off with a triangle and then come back with 1 half moon. Then branch off either side with triangles. This is the shape you should be left with. You must repeat this on the other sides as well. Upgrade the outside triangles to metal, and then you can add frames on the inner one, and then windows on the outside. Add floors on the right and left, leaving a gap in the middle. This will be to access our turret pod. You want to add 2 half walls to make sure the disconnectable TC works. Then add 2 half walls. Then on top of this floor we will add a full wall. It should look like this. You can then add metal frames to support the shooting floor. You can add full walls either side, or you can actually add windows if you prefer that. Add a double door on the left hand side for our garage door, and then a triangle frame where we can place a window on top of it. This will create our one-way peak. Then add a floor above, adding a hatch frame just to cover the window. On both sides you can add window for glass, and then seal it in with a single door and half wall. This is what it should look like. Now we will add our turret as well, upgrading the floor to metal, as well as adding double chain link on the outside. You want to place a half wall here, then a frame on top. You can then delete the half wall. You can also add low walls here if you want to add a compound. This will be decaying right now, so we want to build out by 1 triangle and 3 squares. Then complete it by placing 3 final triangles and upgrade the back one to metal. This will be our TC. It should look like this. Now add a window facing the base, and then add a single door on the right hand side, and then you can complete the rest like so. You can place the TC even if you place the window. I just deleted it to make it easier for me to place it. Like I said before, you can replace this external TC with my meta TCs like I used in the Octo base design recently. I will also link down the optional external TCs in that video down below in the description. You want to then connect it to the Widegap shooting floor. On the roof you want to add simple ramp peaks. Of course you can edit the roof to however you'd like. Then in the middle you want to add honeycomb, and then roof honeycomb on top of this to help you access the vending machine area. You can optionally add extra turret pods on top of here by adding the triangle roofs like so. Considering it's just a farm base, I feel like 8 turrets might be a bit extreme, unless this is being used as your main base. Now we run through some deployables, including the electricals. You can place 4 sleeping bags in the middle. Then you want to add 4 sprinklers, each on this square frame. This should cover each of the planter boxes. You then want to add 4 lights in each of the corners here. I will now run through the recommended electrical configuration. I would like to disclose I'm not exactly an electrical expert, I've just put this here for the basics. You want 4 electrical branches like so. Then of course once we complete these flank bedrooms we will have a medium battery, or you can actually put a small battery instead. This will act as an extra supply to our turrets. That means that if raiders destroy the large battery in the middle, the turrets won't go instantly offline. On each of the 4 sides you want to add a large box. You can actually fit 2 large boxes in a small box for your respawn kits. You might want to block this large box in case raiders get an angle into the window. Before placing the bed I recommend placing the large box and the medium battery. Once you have placed each of the medium batteries, we can now complete our electrical supply. Of course, to start with, you want to connect your windmill to the large battery. Then you want to bring the output to the input of the first electrical branch. You then want to branch off a total of 8 power. This will lead into our lighting. You can use the power in and then a pass through to pass the electrical supply to each of the 4 lights. Now connect the other power out, which should be the remaining 92, into this electrical branch. At this stage I'm only powering the turrets. You might want to branch off less here, and actually use some electrical supply to power your purifiers if you have them. In this case we're not using any electrical purifiers or pumps for the water supply. So by branching off 46 on each side, and then 23 on each of these remaining branches, we then get 4 outputs of 23. Each of these will then lead into each of the respawn areas with the medium batteries or small batteries depending on what you placed. Then these medium batteries will lead directly to each of the turrets. You can then repeat this on all 4 sides. When placing the 4-box loot room it can be quite awkward. It does help if you remove the ladder hatch. You can in fact place it inside even if the ladder hatch is there, but it's very awkward. You can practice this on a build server if it's slightly easier. The hatch frame can be quite awkward when placing the boxes, but I reassure you it is possible to place them all. For the sake of the video I do delete this hatch. You could take off this double door just to help with the placement of the respawn areas and lockers. And then we will quickly add the TCs and of course the rest of the deployables inside the flank respawn areas. And that completes the video. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to join the Discord community down in the description below and drop a like or sub, it's greatly appreciated.